Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to my conclusion of In the Author August. I don't really know what I'm doing today, but because I've been so busy with my book, because I am also an indie author. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what I've read, and also what I've written, and also all the stuff that happened during August to me as an indie author. So I'm going to do both the book tag that Kevin and Nicole got me into and also just talk a little bit about author life. And while I have some tea, let's see what happened before my book went to the printers. We drove here yesterday and it was my first day of my holiday and I thought it was going to be super nice and relaxing. But on the way here, I found out that there's something wrong with the cover of my book. I am releasing a book. And when you see this, it's probably going to be out, hopefully, because I'm a bit ahead in my video making. So you will be able to buy it now. But something is wrong with the cover of the book. And I was on my phone in the mountains between Norway and Sweden trying to solve it. And I don't know if I've managed to solve it. Super stressful. So yeah, that's the update about my book. Glitter Dystopia. It's a bilingual short story collection about class, death, and magic. And it's going to be so lovely when it's out and it's done. And I don't have to stress about cover formats or anything like that ever again. It's not a very exciting Fika today. Oops. It's just a store-bought cookie. But hey. So just to let you know, In the Author August is a tag that Kevin Toll invented, I think, and then I got into it through Nicole's Bookish Nook, and I think she also worked towards this tag happening. So thank you to both of you, and thank you everyone else who got involved. Nicole has a very impressive spreadsheet with lots of indie authors on it, and of course you can read them even when it's not August anymore. So thank you so much. Let's all support each other and support indie authors. I think that's very, very important. Now, my definition of indie author is you can be self-published or you can work with a small label. Is it called label? I'm a musician. A small publishing company? Maybe? Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, so to me, as long as you're not on one of the big publishing houses and got an agent and stuff, then I consider you to be an indie author. The point of this tag was to read, I think, at least 2 books by an indie author during August. I decided to read Anna Jacobsson Lund's trilogy. I think it's called like the Metal Trilogy or something like that, Metallsviten. It's in Swedish, so you probably can't read it, but I want to talk about it anyway because these books are just like, look how gorgeous they are. Absolutely wonderful. And they take place in a magical land that is also where I live. I live here. And I think that's so funny to read about your local towns and landscapes in a fantasy book. So I had already read Blynötter, Lead Nights, and Silvergryning, Silver Dawn before, but I tend to forget lots of books that I've read. So instead of just reading this, the last one, Iron Days, Järndagar, and not knowing what was happening, I decided to read all 3 of them. The setup is, let's see if I can explain this in a way that people will understand. It's described as queer sawmill fantasy. And around here where I live, about 100-150 years ago, they started to chop down all the trees in the inland and then put the trees in the rivers and then make them float here to the coast where they could sell them on to the rest of the world. So obviously some people got very rich and some people worked in the sawmills and in the industry and they weren't treated very well. So it's like a working class fantasy story because this is a story about revolution. But there's magic as well. Back in the day, long time ago, people could like manipulate the earth and the powers, and they were basically very powerful magicians. I don't know, they're called jutare. Don't know how to translate that into English and make it understandable. But anyway, they're all dead. They are all extinct because obviously people were afraid of them and their powers, and maybe they were a bit evil as well. I don't know. But they, when they were active, these magical wizards, powerful people, they had objects, they're called relics, that they put a lot of their power in. So the whole world in this world is driven by relics. So you have like flying motorcycles with relic engine, that is basically magic, and all the sawmills run on relic materia, and some people can handle these relics very well, and they are called tämjare. It means something like handler, or like tämja is to tame something. So yeah, relic handlers, I guess. I don't know. We get to follow Elsa, Finn, Jarroen, Unni, and some other people in their work to actually make the revolution happen, because they want the working class to like have a better life, more power, more pay, healthcare, you know, stuff like that. The whole trilogy is about the revolution and things that can happen, and lots of magic. It's lots of queer representation and also like disabled representation. One of them is deaf, for example. It's a great trilogy. I really enjoyed them. Anna Jacobsen Lund, picture over here, I think. She has written so many speculative fiction books, like so many, maybe like 10, and lots of children's book as well. But all the fantasy books she's written, she's released them all on her own label called Annorlunda Förlag. I think that's like a shame that no big publishers wanted to publish her, because she deserves such a big audience. I mean, she is an established writer and she's done it all by herself. I don't know how she finds the energy to just push through. And all the books I've read from her is so good. I don't want to like talk bad about self-published books, but it's hard to understand that these are self-published. And I'm gonna get to that later. I love them. She's also written space opera, like a queer space opera, and yeah, some other books. I've read them all and I love them. I really like that it takes up very heavy subjects and themes. They are actually considered young adult, and that's because Sweden has a very weird idea that fantasy books are for kids. And these books are about, I mean, the people in this book, they're like 25 and above. I don't know why. And it's scary and it's very serious subjects. Why they are in the youth section, I don't know. Maybe, yeah, I think that's another video where I rant about the Swedish book industry, but let's not do that right now. Let's instead go back a few days and see when I unpacked my books. So yeah, this is it, friends. This is my book, my very first book. Isn't it absolutely gorgeous? I love it. My friend Nils had made the cover art, and yeah, I couldn't be happier about it. I decided to do, I don't know what's it called in English, inlaga, the text bits in the middle of the book. I decided to do them myself because I wanted to know how to do them, and that was actually pretty easy. I'm not a huge, actually I've never worked in InDesign before, but it was okay. It's quite a simple book, it's not lots of pictures or anything. Yeah, and I think it turned out very well. I've also made these. These are just notebooks, but they say glitter dystopia field notes on them. So I thought, if I'm gonna travel around the country and sell my books, I just don't want to have like one book. I want to have some other stuff on the table. I've also printed some bags. I'm gonna carry this around and make people buy my books. So about indie publishing, I'm a punk, and I say that in like, it's a positive thing for me to be. I'm a punk musician, and I've always been playing in indie bands, and I've never had a big record deal, and I've never really wanted it either, because I want to have control over my art. When you're a punk artist or in a punk band, you're sort of expected to be a little rough around the edges. That's the whole charm in it. It's not supposed to be like super produced or like overproduced. It's supposed to be rough, dirty. Maybe you can really, if you want to sing out of tune and play a bit not perfect, then that's allowed. That's even like considered cool and fun. I don't think that translates to books, unfortunately. I think honestly, the more money you throw at a text like in a book, the better it's going to get. More eyes, more time, and that is something that the big publishing houses can do, and where indie authors really struggle. And I think that's why people generally consider indie publishers and indie authors less than books that comes out on a big publishing house. And I think that is also wrong, because I think if you're on a big publishing house, you can be pushed into making changes into your text to satisfy a market, because publishing houses wants to sell books. That's the whole idea. So obviously they don't want you to write things that is unsellable, like a bilingual short story collection about death and magic. Completely unsellable. I didn't even try with the big publishing houses. So I think if you're an indie author, you get a lot of autistic freedom. Yeah, you get probably autistic freedom as well, but also artistic freedom. And you can write whatever you want, and you can really develop your own unique voice. And that's not a bad thing. That's a very, very beautiful thing, I think. I kind of like to experience art that comes straight from another person's heart and that goes hopefully straight into mine. I really don't want it to have past PR companies and like being really polished. I don't like that stuff. But sometimes when I read indie authors, yeah, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I struggle with the language, and sometimes I struggle with the story, and sometimes I think, oh, if they just worked at it a bit more, and like if they maybe took help from someone, then this story would have been better, and they would not be more successful, but like the story would have had an honest chance to be as good as it could be. My conclusion of indie versus established, it's not really a conclusion. I think it's about what you want at that day, or like what you feel like. Because I think if I read an indie author and I get across some grammar that I'm like get a bit annoyed with, I can take that if the story is really good. Thank you, indie authors and small publishing houses. Thank you for everything that you do for literature, and thank you for making other voices heard that is not necessarily heard otherwise. That's what I want to say. Also, I just started a fantasy book from a really big Swedish publishing house, and I can barely get through it. I think I'm going to not finish it. So a big publishing house is not always equal quality. Also, I saved this for the last because this is probably not interesting for very many people, but I would just wanted to give you a little bit of an update about my book and what I've been doing and what I'm going to do. So as you heard, I've had a lot of struggles before the book actually went to the printers. The book exists now, so it worked out. Right now, I've just been busy preparing for the release party. We are going to have the release party at the book fair in Gothenburg in the end of September. I'm going to play some songs. I'm going to maybe read a story out loud. And I'm also going to try and do some interviews with the local media. Got a radio interview on Friday, and I've been sending away lots of books, lots of signed copies have been posted today, so that I've been quite busy with that. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to that the book actually exists and I can actually sell it to people and people can read it. I got 20 books from my publishers yesterday just to sell, like from me to and sign them and stuff, and they are gone. So that's good. So I've sold at least 20 books. So I'm waiting for them to post some new books for me. And I also got accepted into a national talent development program for writers. I know. I was so excited about that. So we are going to go to Gotland, island outside of the coast of Sweden, in a few months and like have a big, like it's going to be like masterclasses and lectures and we're going to network and yeah, you know, stuff like that. So I'm very, very excited and thankful that me, with my silly little sci-fi fantasy weird book thing, got accepted into this big thing. I thought they were just going to be like stuck-up poets and very artsy-fartsy people, but hey, and me. So we'll see about that. So that wraps up my Indie Author August. Thank you so much, especially Kevin and Nicole, for making this happen. And if you've done Indie Author August, thank you as well. Thank you for helping out and supporting your local artists. I think that's all for me. Okay, bye.